Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to come and talk to you guys for a second. Let me see. Um, I'm gonna go to the other one. I gotta get my breakfast, y'all. Then I'm on my way to my office, so I gotta get grab some breakfast. But I wanted to come on and talk to you guys real quick this morning because I was thinking about something yesterday, and so I was thinking about, how I come on here and I talk about how Pink Face, Journey, Blueface's daughter, how she throws these tantrums and she's cursing and hitting people and doing all types of stuff like that and how inappropriate it is, right? And so I was thinking about that and I was like, you want to know what? Adults do the same thing, right? Like, you know, children will go through a stage where they will identify it as like the terrible twos, right? But there are some situations where adults like stay in the terrible twos like for a very long time. Like I don't know if it's that they haven't been taught how to be disciplined and not how to have a temper tantrum, so they find any kind of way, and sometimes it looks different depending on the different people they deal with or interact with, because they're trying to get some type of reaction and response from the individual. But everybody's different. Some adults, when a child is having a temper tantrum, they respond immediately. It sometimes escalates the temper tantrum to be even worse, right? But then you have some adults that choose to ignore temper tantrums, right? And so you have the same type of interactions with adults out here. This is why I always say the things that we as older humans, the elderly humans that we criticize younger people for doing, we do them to a higher magnitude, right? And we clothe them under under autonomy, under the fact that we are aged and we think that our response is appropriate and that it's okay and we can do what we want. But that's not necessarily the case. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do it, but everybody doesn't have to respond to it, right? And so I was thinking about one time my niece, right, came to my house. And I'm like this with everything, you guys. I'm like this with everything. And so one time my niece came to my house. My niece's name is Carly, right? And so my grandson was also at my house. And most of the time when my niece comes to my house, it's just me and her. Because my grandson might be at his other grandmother's or something like that. And so even if I go get my grandson like for the day, I might take him back to his dad's, or because it's depending on what weekend it is, what day it is, or what's going on, whether or not it's my daughter's turn, my turn, or his dad's turn and his mom's turn, right? And we listen, the kids, my family are loved. Everybody always wants them. So we ain't giving up our time like that, right? So normally when my niece would come into town, I would go get my grandson. I would have him for the day so that they could play, and then I would take him back, to his dad's or to my daughter, unless it's summer. If it's summer, then it might be a slightly different schedule, and he might be with me like for a few nights or whatever. So, but this particular time, um, and this was fairly like in the beginning of my niece coming down from New York, right? And this was kind of like, she's the only child, right? She's the only child. Let me say that. She's the only child. So now she isn't anymore. Now she got two little brothers, but she at the time she was the only child. And so whereas she enjoys the company of being able to play with other kids, she's used to being the center of attention, right? And so um I guess in this particular visit, I was trying to balance the attention between her and my grandson, right? And so she didn't like that. So she started to do things. And this is the thing. This is how I feel like about adults who throw temper tantrums when they know they're in the wrong, right? They try to find something else to be the cause of the tantrum, right? And depending on who they are interacting with, the temper tantrum is always going to look different. It's not going to look the same, right? And so my niece is used to like throwing temper tantrums when it comes to my other sister, my brother, her mom, who is my sister, and other adults, and then she'll get her way. But me, I have like a little experience with kids, right? I think I'm pretty nuanced with kids. I got a good touch, right? Like I got a Midas touch with children, right? And so I know that as an adult, I'm in control. I have the parental control, right? So I don't have to respond to their tantrum. And usually, when I don't respond to the tantrum, I always get the best outcome, right? When it with kids, and we always resolve it in the best kind of way. And the reason being is because I give them time to have their behavior, do whatever it is that they're doing, right? But I hold my ground. And I don't have to do it in a way that I'm going to embarrass them in front of the other kids. I don't have to do it in a way that I'm going to belittle them or that I am going to be violent towards them. Now the violent part I learned over time, right? That you don't have to use a spanking. You don't have to use a spanking in order to deal with a child that is having a temper tantrum, right? You can simply ignore. So my niece started to have this temper tantrum because she was lacking what she thought was attention, right? And so I explained to her what wasn't going to be able to happen. I explained to her what I was going to continue to do in order to divide my time up between the two children. And then I continued to be the same adult that I was to her, regardless, regardless of her response, of her actions, right? And so she was upset. She didn't want to respond to me being nice and pleasant with her. She didn't want to respond to what did she want for food or what did she want for this or what did she want for that. But I didn't allow it to change me. I continued to do exactly what I had planned to do at that particular day and that particular time. And so then when we went to go have quiet time, right? Which means I went to go have quiet time. The kids went to go have quiet time. They were reading the audio book. My older daughter was reading an actual book because she was in the house. My older daughter, who has more experience than both of these kids with me, right? She's in the house at the time that all of this is going on. And so, when did I pass? I think I did. You guys, I did it again. I do it every time. Anyway, so um, when I go into my room and I'm getting ready to watch something on TV, and my niece comes into my room, and she asked me if she could get into the bed with me, and I said sure. What's wrong? And so Carly says to me, she says, Auntie Carla, I am so sorry because I was just being jealous. I didn't have to say anything to the kid. The kid took my social cues. She took the consistency in my behavior, and she realized that what she was doing was completely irrational. She realized it didn't make sense. And it's possible that it might have been for the first time because everybody else kind of caters to what she wants them to do because she is amongst one of the youngest of the kids, right? And so when she said that to me, I sat in there and I explained to her why I had to divide my time and what fairness, right? And about being fair to everyone and loving everyone and showing why it's important to show good morning to is why it's important to show that to everyone. And from that moment, I have never had to deal with my kid, with my niece having a temper tantrum again. Because then my daughter came into the room. She was coming in there for whatever. I don't know why my daughter was coming in while I'm talking to my niece, and she's hearing me talk to my niece. And my daughter watched my niece have this temper tantrum. My daughter will watch how kids do with me, and she'll just wait until the lesson is learned, and then she'll reinforce the lesson, right? That's how this one, the last one is, right? She's like that. And so she looked at my daughter, looked at my niece, and she said, Carly, she said, all of that don't work with my mom. She was like, it worked with everybody else, but none of that works with my mom, right? She was like, trust me, I know. And from that moment, I never had to worry about Carly doing that again. And so I say all of that to say everybody has a different response to different things, right? And I don't do like when I am the type of person, when I say what I say, that's what I mean. And I think that people kind of know that. Like the people who are intimate with me. There are some people who might not know that because they don't know me in that kind of way. But people who know me intimately, they know what I say, I mean it. When I say I'm done with something, I'm done with it. Right? I'm not going to continue to engage in back and forth nonsense. That's just not me. And I'm not knocking anybody else who does it or whatever they do. That's their business. But that's not me. And so there's no response that anybody is going to get from me for that. Not a kid, not an adult, not anyone. I am not going to ever respond to something that I am not a part of. I'm not, I'm gonna say that again. I am not going to respond to something that I am not a part of. When I see certain things and I decide that I am done and complete with a situation, I don't have a response. I'm going to continue my existence in my life the same way I did before I even got engaged or involved because I never come to any situation to create any kind of chaos. That's not who I am. That's not who I'm ever going to be. And no matter how what anybody wants to paint or picture they want to play, it's not going to be real because that's not who I am. And whatever I've said, the person who I said it to knows that I said it. And you might consider the fact that some of the actions that you're seeing displayed out in the public is because those individuals probably know me pretty well enough to know that when I said I'm done, I'm done. And I'm not going to respond to your behaviors and your tantrum. So you go and get that response elsewhere because they know they're not going to get it from me. But because they can't control their impulses and their behavior, they're going to go and seek it somewhere else. And I'm sorry if other people are reaping the repercussions of that response. But it has nothing to do with me because I have nothing to do with any of the situation, right? And so I just wanted to give that analogy that this is my disposition, no matter who it is. I always make it very clear there is one individual in my life that I engaged in nonsense with. And from that moment, and that's the only individual that gets that type of response or gets those kind of actions out of me. And there will never be another. There will never be another that gets that. And so I just don't engage in certain types of activities. I don't engage in certain types of behavior, but don't take that for that something hasn't been done in order to make it be known. Listen, stay away from me with that bullshit. Period. Okay? Now I'm going into my job so that I can do my work for the day. But I just wanted to come on here this morning and make that very clear because none of this or whatever is going on or whatever people is displaying out in the public, it don't have shit to do with me. And if it does got something to do, it has to do because other people are making it something to do with me, not because I'm doing it. I don't care less. I engage with everybody. I interact with anybody. There is nobody that can tell me what to do. There is nobody who can tell me who to interact with. There's nothing that nobody can put or plant in my head. That's not how this works over here. And just because I don't come out here and say it, don't mean that that's what's happening. I don't buy no bullshit. I smell bullshit a mile away, probably closer than that. And when I do, I break and I break out the way. Go do whatever it is you intend to do. Go and play out your agenda, however it is you want to play it out, away from me. That's what I meant the other day when I talked about respectless people and creating boundaries and making sure we have an understanding. My understanding might not be the same as your understanding. This the understanding I created. I don't want keep that mess somewhere over there, somewhere else, where it works, because it don't work with me. On that, y'all, I'm out of here. I got to get my job done for today. I hope y'all have a nice, productive day, and I'll talk to y'all soon.